We're just waiting for echo, but don't pressure him.
You're live.
Oh, I'm over live?
Congratulations.
Seriously?
That's great.
Who hired this producer?
I know. I didn't get the, like, come on, we wanted the little...
All right, wait for it. 3, 2, 1. Action.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Awesome. My name's Robert.
I'm Brandy.
And we're here for our second episode of WineCoastSwing.
There you go.
We also call it...
The other WCS.
That's right. So this is great. Look at these chairs we have.
It's my chair.
Now, where are we?
It's my throne.
Right.
I kind of want this to be my chair for every episode.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just swing our legs.
It's Robert and Brandy age 5.
Right, yeah, it's us at age 5, exactly.
It's really nice. Did you
Because I was drinking wine at age 5, because I'm Italian. So, so we are in England. We're at the UK European Swing Dance Championships. We want to thank John and Marianne for not only putting on such a great event, but for setting this up for us.
Yeah, they hosted this. They hosted everybody. What you can't see at home is that everybody in the audience has a glass of Prosecco in hand.
Oh, look, we got that live going there. Toasting the Prosecco. That's awesome. So, anyways, and we're drinking fantastic red from the Margaux region, and it's Emmeline, come here. So, it's French from the Margaux region. This is Emmeline. So, Emmeline, what is this?
Brio, appellation Margaux contrôlée, et c'est de Cantenac Brown.
Right, it's a wine that ends in the word brown.
John's private collection that he decided to share with us. He has excellent taste in wine.
He does.
And staff members for his event.
So, anyways, because we want to try to keep these episodes fairly short, even though we could probably sit here for another hour and just go back and forth and talk, and we know there's people that have questions in the audience. One of the things that Brandy and I said we wanted to do, starting with WineCoastSwing, was to actually talk a little bit about some of the really fun stuff that's happening in the West Coast Swing world, but also maybe some of the things that aren't so fun to talk about, and some of the things that we think might be issues that are happening right now in the swing world. So, and one of the things that we talk about quite a bit, just her and I, as we're teaching, and that people say, is they feel like we're losing our dance. That we feel that West Coast Swing is changing in such a way that it's almost unrecognizable as West Coast Swing anymore. And I believe that to have some element in truth. I happen to like the diversity of our dance very much. I know Brandy does too. But in becoming diverse in the dance and growing the dance to another place, you can sometimes lose the realness of the dance. And I'm going to steal a quote. So Madame Lamoureux, who was one of the foremost authority on ethnic dance. There's a quote that I read in a book by Ruth Vermey from her years and years and years ago. And I read it referencing, in my mind, country dancing at the time, competitive country dancing, and how that was going through a big change. So this is probably 18 years ago or something. But then I started to research her because I liked the quote so much. And the quote was about ethnic dancing specifically. The quote was, to deviate from authenticity, you must first know well the authenticity of the dance. And I thought that was amazing. So if you're going to move and change a dance, you must first completely understand the intricacies of the origin of that dance. And so I went and I got a little crazy like I always do and researched her, and I listened. She died in 1988. And I listened to an NPR interview with her about dance. And the example she used, which I think is really prevalent to what's happening right now here, or pertinent, I should say, to what's happening right now in the West Coast Swing world, is she said, let's take Spanish dancing, for example. So if I'm watching Spanish dancing, and there's somebody with castanets, so they have castanets, and they're stomping their feet, and they're taking a 45-degree angle, they have a twist in their upper body. Now the twist in the upper body is essential to most Spanish dancing. Even when you watch things like Paso Doble, you see that rotation. So somebody sees authentic Spanish dancing, castanets, feet are moving, twist in the upper body, and other elements of that. And they decide they want to make it a little new. They want to do something different with it to make it more contemporary for a younger audience maybe, or a newer crowd. So they go, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the castanets. Or actually, let's do this. We're going to keep the castanets. I'm going to keep the castanets. So they keep the castanets, but maybe the body twist isn't there. Maybe there's less footwork. There's some footwork, but less footwork. And they create this new dance, and they call it Spanish dancing, right? But it's a new Spanish dancing. It's Spanish dancing, but we're starting to deviate a little bit from the authenticity. So then somebody else sees that, and they go, oh, I want to do some Spanish dancing too, but I want to make it a little different too. So now I'm going to remove the castanets. So now the castanets are gone. The twist is gone, and now there's just subtle amounts of footwork, and they're taking from other dances, jazz or contemporary, to do that. And then somebody else sees that and says, oh, that's Spanish dancing? I want to do another version. So by like the fourth version of this hybrid that started, the castanets no longer exist, the footwork no longer exists, and the twist no longer exists. The things that made it Spanish dancing no longer exist. And now it's become this mishmash of this other thing that no longer has any of the richness that led anybody to be inspired in the first place to try to take it somewhere else and grow with it. And so now this standalone dance only lives and exists in that moment. And when that music or that trend dies, that dance will die with it because the foundation is no longer there for that dance. And I feel like that's happened in West Coast Swing. I feel like we have lots of people teaching this dance and dancing this dance and doing a very nice job of dancing with the current version of it is, but without taking care to truly understand the authenticity of the dance. And that was Prosecco being popped in the background. So, because we needed a break in my rant in that moment. And I find this to be very important for our dance because we're losing so much of the dance. And so what's happened is we have started to dance to music that doesn't fit the authenticity of our dance. Now, that doesn't bother me as much as long as we understand the authenticity of our dance and we become the instrument that reminds the viewer and the new dancer what should also be there. So people say, well, nobody wants to dance to blues and jazz music. Everybody wants to dance to tropical house. And DJs will say, watch, I'll put on tropical house and the floor will be packed. And then I'll put on blues and the floor will be empty. Right, because the tools they've been given only fit tropical house. So when blues and jazz music come on, it doesn't feel good to them. So they only want to dance to the music that feels good based on the tools they've been given. So as teachers, we should be giving them tools that are authentic to our dance. So when the variety of music that we want to play comes on, they can dance to it and always feel good. So am I saying take away the Zouk moves and stuff like that? No. I'm saying those are all additions. Those are all the window dressings of the foundation and the house that I've built. Those are me changing out the color of the couch, but I'm not changing the foundation of the house that the couch sits in. And we've come to make our dance where the foundation of our dance no longer seems to exist. And all we do is think about the couches we want to put in a building that has no foundation to it. So how do we fix something like this?
And what would you do? I think it would be interesting to hear people, hear you talk about, what would you do if you entered a contest? This might happen today. If you entered a contest and you got a song that's not a West song, what would you do?
Right, so, and people say this to me all the time, like, that sounds great, Robert, but I'm going to get a tropical house song in competition, so I still have to dance to it. Right, of course you do. There's going to be uncontrollables. Like, you're not going to get to control what the DJ plays all the time, right? You're not going to get to control what you get in a contest. So, if you've done your homework and you've studied the dance, what you can do is take our dance, keep the foundation visible. Don't make me seek or search out as a judge where a triple step might exist, where a walk might exist, where stretch might exist, right? Don't make me seek those things out where I go, is it there, is it not there? I should still be able to plainly see the things that make our dance our dance. And then if on top of that, you add the other stuff, you know, the swaying and upper body movement or whatever you want to do, if you add that on top, well, I'm going to like that too. I'm going to love that you've shown me the foundation of our dance and then shown me that you can decorate the foundation of our dance differently. as opposed to changing the foundation of our dance, and making that the primary source of what I see visually.
I like that a lot. I was working with an incredibly talented dancer here today, and we danced to a blues song in the lesson, and everything he put into that song was everything I want to feel from West Coast Swing. And I said, I would like for that to not be your styling. I would like for that to be your dance. And then style that according to the song that you're dancing to. But for a lot of people, blues is a style that they learn, when in reality it should be the foundation of what they do.
Right. Blues and jazz should be where we start when we're teaching. That should be the thing we start when we're teaching. We should tell our students that there are other music we can dance to. And we should just do more research and more homework, because there are plenty of great contemporary songs out there that you can swing to.
I think we need to hold our DJs, particularly the DJs of our contests, we need to hold them very accountable. And we need to ask.
Oh, this is going to be fun, the comments after this one.
I love you all so much, and I'm so grateful that you do the job that you do.
I know my friends who are DJs right now, they're like,
bring it on.
Bring it on, right. So, yeah, so for me, like, I love our dance, and I love that our dance is so open-minded to other styles. But one of the other things that's happened that didn't happen before. So people were like, oh, well, but we're dancing to contemporary music now, and how do we want to dance to contemporary music, and we want to bring people in, so we're kind of stuck. I had a dance teacher this weekend say, but I'm stuck because my students want to dance to what they hear on the radio. Right. Well, when I was dancing West Coast Swing, when I first started dancing West Coast Swing, there was this new artist out, and she was topping the charts all the time, and her name was Gloria Estefan, right? So most of the music...
Carry on.
Did you all just sense me insulting all of you? As you all just laughed at me aging myself?
You're like fine wine, Robert.
Right. I go bad if kept in the bottle. We didn't dance. There was one or two Gloria Estefan songs we would dance to because it felt good to swing to it. But the majority of her stuff we didn't dance to. There was a time when the #1 artist on the charts was Ricky Martin. But just because he was #1 on the charts, we didn't dance. We didn't dance West Coast Swing to Live in La Vida Loca.
Thank God.
Right. And for the record, that song is now in everybody's head who's watching this vlog right now and sitting in this room.
And mine.
Okay. So there are people right now watching us rolling their eyes. Right. So we didn't dance to it. Just because it existed on the pop charts doesn't mean we had to dance to it. So we made much smarter choices in the 90s when we really started dancing to a lot of contemporary music. We made much smarter choices as to the contemporary music we danced to. We didn't just go, it's in the top 20, let's do West Coast Swing to it. So we went, okay, this is in the top 20, Ricky Martin's #1 on the charts, doesn't feel good to West Coast Swing to, so we're not gonna do it. If we played Ricky Martin in the ballroom, back then, we would line dance. We used to do lots of line dancing in the swing world as well. We would do a cha-cha line dance, right? Or we would cha-cha. That's what we would do, because there was back in our day. Back in the day. Well, I should say back in my day, because her day was a little after mine.
My day was a little bit after.
Right. Everybody did all the dances. So lots of the professional West Coast Swing dancers danced cha-cha and mambo and all of those things. So a cha-cha would come on, and we would all cha-cha. And actually, it was kind of a break. We call it in the West Coast Swing world. We'll still call it a California mix, where they'll play a waltz, a two-step, a salsa, a nightclub, a cha-cha, things like that. They'll pepper those in throughout an evening of West Coast Swing. So now that happens, a California mix, and half the people still just dance West Coast Swing no matter what's played. Now I get it. Skippy Blair says, if the only dance you know is West Coast Swing, it doesn't matter what the music is. We're gonna dance West Coast Swing to it, because it's the only dance I know. I understand that. But we, as dance teachers, dance professionals, and judges, and MCs, and DJs, and all of the people that help to dictate what goes to the masses need to start to take more responsibility in understanding that the music we play must support the authenticity of our dance. Once that is a very solid structure, we can start to move from it safely and then always return to it.
Did anybody time that? Did I win?
That's under 15 minutes. That was under 15 minutes. So,
nicely done.
yeah, so we'll take some questions on that. Go ahead.
So, where and how can the definition of the dance be held?
Well, so one of the things about our dance is it's very young. So we just did this recently. I loved this. Me and a number of other people, there was a number of us that got together and spoke. I don't want to mention all their names because they might not want people emailing them. But I went around to a bunch of professionals and I said, I'm going to do this to all of you. Give me the unarguables. The unarguable things that you can't argue about what makes West Coast Swing look like West Coast Swing. So raise your hand if you have one. Don't blurt it out, raise your hand. Does anybody have an unarguable? Yeah.
A slot?
Slot, easy, perfect, great. It's a slotted dance, that's an unarguable. Most teachers aren't going to argue that the dance is a slotted dance. Perfect. Give me another unarguable. Yeah. The follower goes walk, walk forward. Her first two steps, or his first two steps as a follower, are walk, walk, right? With no swiveling action, 2 forward walking steps for the follower. Great, awesome. Something else.
Stretch on ankle.
Stretch. We use stretch as our primary source of connection. Yes, we have compression, but stretch is our primary source of redirection and connection. Great. So we have walk, walks. We're slotted. We have stretch. What else?
Triples.
Triples, right? Triple steps.
We were waiting for that one.
That is the thing that makes a swing dance, right? So we have walks, we have slot, we have stretch, we have triples. What else?
Push past whips.
Pushes, we're made up of pushes, passes, and whips. Now, that's not to say that there's only 3 basics. Different people have different structure of basics. So you can have, some people teach five beginning steps, some people teach 7, I've heard 10, right? But even all of those are made up of 3 different elements: pushes, passes, and whips, right? So a tuck turn is off of a sugar push or off of a pass, right? So, and there's multiple types of whips, but pushes, passes, and whips. Great. So let's see how many we have here. Walks, 2 forward walks, right? We have triple steps. We have stretch, right? We have pushes, passes, and whips. Yes? Slot. 5 so far. What else? Starting to get a little harder, isn't it? Something that's very specific to West Coast Swing that defines our dance.
Well, you
Music
don't
varies.
dance to waltz speed.
What's that?
Well, like a 3/4.
Right, we dance it to 4/4 time. Okay, I'll give you that. We dance it to 4/4 time or 2/4 time. There is 2/4 time. Where a song goes 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. That's 2/4 time. So some blues music is 2/4 time. So 2/4 and 4/4 time, right? We dance to even number of quarter beats. We can put it that way, right? Cool, so great, that's awesome. That's one we haven't really heard. So what else? Raise your hand though. Yeah.
Rolling on the feet.
Rolling of the feet is arguable. Because lots of dances do it, and it's not specific to our dance.
We dance
Right.
really slow or really fast. And we have a
Also
song.
not specific to our dance. Lots of dances go slow and fast, right? You can dance tango slower, some people dance tango much faster. I'm talking about things that, as I look at them, they really seemingly be specific to our dance, right? And people would argue those, right? I'm on unarguables, right? Some people would say we shouldn't dance it slow and fast because we lose the character of the dance. I've heard that from people. I disagree with it, but I've heard it, right? What else? So listen, for the record, when we did it, we came up with about 7. Just about 7 things, right? One of the things that we all tend to agree upon is that we have a 2-beat stretched, redirected step. So at the end of our patterns, we stretch for 2 beats before we redirect. It's called an anchor step by lots of people. Right? So we redirect the end of our patterns with a 2-beat stretched measure that you can call an anchor step. Right? So we're not going to see that exact same position in other dances as the end of their pattern to then redirect. You with me on that?
Yeah.
So those are all pretty clear. Right? So where can you find the definition of West Coast Swing? Well, I think we just kind of gave you a good starting point, right? And most teachers should make sure that those things are emphasized in their teaching, even at the beginning level. Right? And I shouldn't have to search for those things. I shouldn't have to search for those things in your routine. I shouldn't have to search for those things in your Jack and Jills and your Strictly Swings. I shouldn't have to struggle to find those 7 things. I'm not saying that the dance can't deviate from them. I just, when I move so far away from them that I have to leave as a judge enjoying watching you dance to try to find the things that make what you're doing West Coast Swing, that's a problem.
Can I take that to another way? So talking about the name of the dance, because there was a rumor passing around recently that
Right.
the name might change.
Well, it's funny about the rumor because Glenn Ball put that on his
Yeah, he
Facebook
put it
page
on
as a joke.
As a joke.
Put it on as a joke, not knowing that, like,
Right.
that Benji and I had been doing a class together, and Benji had put that out there in this class in Swing Hoover. Right, so keep going.
Yeah, but what do you think about that? Because I mean, West Coast, it was found in the West Coast of the USA, but it's spreading all over the world now.
Right.
Is it gonna define the name of the dance still now that it's expanding so wildly?
I hope the name doesn't change.
Yeah.
I hope the name doesn't change. It doesn't matter where it's danced. Its root is in the West Coast. It's West Coast Swing. And I'm afraid that if we change our name, we're going to lose our history. That we're going to lose the ability to trace it back, the lineage that we currently have. So I understand the intention is to make it more accessible, make it easier to find. I've always said West Coast Swing right now is a dancer's dance. If you don't already dance, you probably don't know that this exists. Most people come to West Coast Swing from another dance style. That's
Right.
their exposure.
Right.
And so we would love to get to a point where when you say West Coast Swing, people know what it is and they have a picture in their head. So I don't hate the idea of why people want to change the name, but I worry about losing the lineage.
And so this is where Brandy and I in our talk show can disagree a little bit, right? First. So
That is not your shade of lipstick.
right, that's true. There's a lot here. Like I want to point out that I've done more talking to and I have finished.
Because it was country western, like it changed the name before as well, was it?
Well, so here's the thing. So for me, West Coast Swing has had many names, right? Not for me personally. I just like I can say like in my opinion, I know, as just Brandy, that West Coast Swing has had many names. So you know, we come from Lindy Hop. All forms of swing come from it's divergent evolution. We all come from one microorganism. That microorganism is Lindy Hop. So whether it's Carolina Shag or Swedish Book or West Coast Swing or North Dallas Push or Houston Whip or Bop or East Coast Swing or Jive or modern Jive or the ballroom style of Jive or collegiate Shag or St. Louis Shag or any of these styles. The microorganism where we were all born of, right, is Lindy Hop in that era. So first it was sophisticated swing when Myrna Miner, I believe was her name, was first interviewed for an Arthur Murray magazine. She called it sophisticated swing, right? Then it was called rock and roll. It was syllabatized in the 50s as rock and roll by Arthur Murray, right? From rock and roll, it then became Western swing, as in Western part of the United States. But then Western movies became really, really popular, and there was a Western swing style of music, and it related to all of a sudden fringe and cowboy stuff. So they didn't like the name Western because it connotated Western, right? So then they changed it, and finally at the Gold West Ballroom, right, in Downey, California, they literally just put it up on a big sign and said, we're teaching West Coast Swing. So the name was so random in its inception, and it had gone through so many different places. If I felt like it pushed the dance forward while maintaining the authenticity, my worry would be is if we decide to call it something else, right? Like Benji likes the term modern swing. If we were to call it modern swing, I wouldn't want the authenticity I'm talking about, those 7 elements we just talked about. I wouldn't want those to change. By the way, neither does Benji. So we wouldn't want those things to change. Does that make sense? But if changing the name to help to promote the dance worldwide, I would be all for it.
Do you worry though that if we changed the name, that West Coast Swing would still exist and modern swing, let's just say that's what we went with, that modern swing would end up becoming something new?
But people out there right now aren't dancing aren't dancing in California, aren't dancing sophisticated swing in California. In California, they're not dancing Western swing the way it was first called.
Right.
Those went away as this dance continued to grow. So history shows us that didn't happen.
Okay.
Now, it could happen because just the pure size of people that do it.
Right.
So that's a very valid argument. Here's the deal, if it stays the same, I'm all for it. If it stays the same, I'm all for it.
If it stays or changes?
Me.
Well,
I do.
Brandy decides. The question is who decides if it changes? Brandy decides if it changes. No, so like if as a community we decided to change the name, I'm all for it because I understand the history and the name has changed many times, right? But if it stays the same, I'm all for that too. Because as you guys heard on my rant, I'm all about the authenticity of our dance. Right? But there will be people that would come to me that'll watch this and go, okay, Robert, well, if you're talking about the authenticity of the dance, then all these people should learn Lindy Hop before they learn West Coast Swing. And that would be a valid argument.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, for me, I could go either way as long as we understand where we came from so we can be very caretaking of where we're going. That's the biggest issue for me. The name isn't as big of an issue.
Yes.
No, I was going to say, how
how would you police that? Because obviously, the access to you at large events is gold mine. It's that's awesome. But when you take it away, and I found this in line dance, when you start taking teachers away and putting them locally, they teach their own concepts and ideas and things like that. So how are you able to kind of provide consistency across?
So the question was, how would we potentially create consistency across the world at the local level, right? So that the local teachers, right? So that would take some work. We have to do some standardization of the dance. We have to get, even imagine if there was just a one page that had the 7 things I just mentioned, with the description of what those 7 things were, right? That would be super helpful, wouldn't it? Well, there's a group of us that have put that together, and we did present it to the World Swing Dance Council, and they're looking it over, and so now we're going through the red tape of getting a whole bunch of people to agree upon this. Now I pooled about 15 pros. 15 of the top pros in the world saying what's the, exactly what I just to you, what's the unarguables? And everybody agreed on those 7. I was like, hey, we all agree, this is great. So we should, hopefully, I'm putting it out there, this is going to be on the internet, I hope in the next year, right? So right now we're sitting in April of 2018. So I'm hoping by next year when we're sitting here, right, that something will be out there that helps local teachers understand some level of standardization to this dance so that the teaching can be a little bit more consistent. There's still going to be arguables. Do we A, V? Do we stretch from the hip? Do we stretch from the shoulder? There's all those stylistic choices. Like Brandy looks different than Tatiana, looks different than Sarah Van Drake. I look different than Benji, who looks different than Jordan, who looks different than Kyle. So, and we love that about our dance.
We want to keep that.
We want to keep that.
We want to keep
So we're going to try to do some sort of skeletalized standardization that doesn't eliminate people's personal styling from being layered on top of it. And that's actually one of the things that makes this so difficult. Because we could just standardize it like ballroom and then everybody will look the same. And we'd rather that not happen. Right? So that's what makes it a little bit trickier for us. We like to keep I said this word years ago. I don't think it's a real word, but we want to keep the streetability factor of our dance, right? So that people's own interpretation of the music can still exist within the frame. Because Benji, Kyle, Jordan, Brandy, Tatiana, Sarah, Deborah, you still see those elements I talked about in every dance they do. And that's important, right? But we're not, and it's because all those people I just know, that I just mentioned, they know well, to quote Madame LeMarais again, they know well the authenticity of the dance before they've made the choice to deviate.
I think we have time for one more question.
Yes, I'm referring back to the name. I just wondered, shouldn't we think about the opportunity, which kind of positive thing it would bring to if we change the name? Because I know you have a reference because you come from the West Coast,
right?
But it would perhaps, if it has a name which is more sexy. Yeah.
She said sexy.
And I think the West Coast is very sexy.
You don't think beaches in California and convertibles? No, I'm kidding.
No, but in Europe we don't have. When I want to advertise West Coast Swing, people think of Western dances, and they don't want to do.
You're right.
A dance with a head.
Right. You're fighting kind of Benji's fight. So the question was, so people at home can know, or the comment was, we should be thinking about the broader stroke of promoting this dance. Because if I say to somebody in Sweden, or Switzerland, or Germany, or Singapore, right, if I say to them, I want to teach you West Coast Swing, they don't know what that is. And they actually can't even make up in their head anything close to what we do. So, but Benji's argument would be, if I say modern swing, they can connotate something, they can go, okay, they can go, all right, I know what swing dancing is, and it's modern, so that makes it new. So it's some sort of swing dancing, and it's new, right? So, got it. So that's something that the thought would be, you could relate to quickly, right?
And our goal should be to spread it more.
And our goal is to spread it even more, exactly.
To spread it more and to find a good way.
But for a long time, just so you know, for a long time, people thought salsa was just something you put on chips.
And now it's a sexy name.
And now it's a sexy name. And it was a name of a dance before it was a genre of music, which is rare. So, Tito Puentes is one of the greatest mambo drummers of all times, says salsa is something I put on chips, mambo something I play, right? So, but through dance education, the name became appropriate to what was going on, because they could have very easily fought the fight to keep salsa called mambo, but it had a different kind of vibe to it, right? So, like, we could, with the right standardization, with the right teaching, and the right education, not have to change the name and still get it out there so that people know what it is. My son, Bobby, he said to me, Dad, why do people, my friends know what tango is, and my friends know what waltz is, and my friends know what cha-cha is, but when I say my dad's a West Coast Swing champion, they don't know what that is. And then I told them, we don't have a culture that supports us. Like, we don't have an ethnic culture that supports us, like salsa would have or tango would have, right? We don't have a music genre that supports us, because we dance to multiple styles of music. So we don't have a music genre that supports just us. We don't have a cultural backing, a country, like an ethnicity of people that backs us. We're very open, right? So because of that, it hasn't grown. So lots of people don't know about it, because you don't see it in the media so much. Because I can put tango in a commercial and people immediately know what that is, right? And it relates to a certain demographic and all of that other kind of stuff. West Coast Swing, not so much. And he said to me, well, then it's our responsibility to tell the world what we do, what West Coast Swing is. And then I started a hashtag, our responsibility WCS, based on my son's comment. And he's right. So we can fight both fights. We could change the name. We still have to fight the fight to get it out there so people know what we're doing. Whether we change the name or not, there's lots of work to be done for us to get people knowing what we do. Because we can change the name all we want, and your students still won't know it's some sort of sexy form of swing. Right? Let me tell you this. So somebody in the audience said we should call it sexy swing. And I'm just letting you know that has a completely different idea. That's really good wine.
We're all sexy
Really good wine.
We're all sexy swingers.
Really good wine. So I know we said one more, but we'll do it in a minute.
So it's kind of funny, like, I've heard before that West Coast Swing has been also, like, developed in the manner, in a slotted way for making also movies and see people dance to a slot.
So there's multiple ways, there's multiple reasons why the slot occurred, and all of them, we don't know what really the real reason is.
But that would be a form of advertisement, no?
So West Coast Swing, as much as we love it, it doesn't read on camera very well. One of the reasons we love this dance is its subtlety. Subtlety in the body movements, the subtlety in the rhythms, the subtlety in the styling. And we've had some tremendous dancers get primetime network TV exposure for West Coast Swing and film. And some West Coast Swing dancers see the routines danced in those circumstances and are critical of them and say, well, it's all flash, it's all these tricks. It's not what we do, it's not real West Coast Swing. The truth of the matter is what we do does not read on a camera. How many of you have watched the US Open online and then actually been at a US Open? The way that you experience a routine live is so different than what you would get on camera.
Or maybe you saw the routines last night for the first time live and you've seen them on YouTube.
Yeah.
You watched the routines last night and it made you feel something else, right? Because it attaches to you differently live.
So it's hard for us to get media exposure for a dance style that doesn't necessarily read on camera in a way that a non-dancer could appreciate.
Right. The other thing we have to do, we have to understand, because this gets brought up all the time, and most people say, we just need a big media thing. We need to be on TV, we need to be in a movie, we need to... That's not going to happen to the level we want until we focus our brand. Nobody will touch us. Networks won't touch us. Movie producers won't touch us. They won't touch us because they don't know who they would sell advertising to. Are we selling advertising to kids' products, or are we selling advertising to non-kids products? So, right? Are we serving teenagers, or are we serving 80-year-olds? Like what's our? I had an executive at a network in America say, because Toys R Us is a kids store, and he said, "Am I selling advertising to Toys R Us, or am I selling advertising to Cialis for erectile dysfunction?" Right? So like, what
go there.
I did. So well, he went there. So like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. And we say, oh, the great thing about our dance is that it's open to everybody. We have kids dancing it, and we have older people dancing it. And we have short people dancing it, and tall people dancing it. We have skinny people dancing it, and we have fat people dancing it. And we have it's so great because we're so open. Right. We love that about our dance.
Advertisers do.
Advertisers do not. We have to focus our brand. What's the music style? What's your primary demographic? We don't know. And so because we don't know, so we would have to start to be okay with focusing a brand to advertisers that maybe doesn't fully represent the scope of our brand. But we might have to do that a little bit. Like if I say, we're going to focus the brand that this is a young person's dance. And lots of people will go, it's not. I'm 45 years old, I'm 50 years old, I'm 60 years old, and I do this dance, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And we go, okay, well, we're going to focus this brand to over 50 crowd. And then other people go, oh, we shouldn't do that because then the kids won't come do it. At some point, we're going to have to pick a focus for our brand and push that into the media if we want the media to accept us, right? And then it can get big and we can educate as we go. But we seem to be afraid of wanting to do that. And we kind of don't know how to do that, right?
Just call it sexy swing and it will sell.
Right, just call it. I've addressed sexy swing. We're leaving sexy swing is off the table. It's off the table. All right, so listen. Right, so here's the thing. We'll continue to take questions, because we're here and we're drinking wine, right? But I think we should probably
Wrap it up.
wrap up the episode. But we're happy to sit here with you guys for more. So we're going to wrap it up, and we can even let cameras rolling in case something really fun happens. But so Brandy and I love doing this. She let me go on a little bit of a rant this time. The next one, she's informed me she has the rant that she wants to go on.
Stay tuned.
So
When is it gonna be the next time?
when is going to be the next time?
I don't know, I think you should come to San Diego and we should film a couple episodes.
You know why? Because the West Coast is sexy.
Because the West Coast.
It's beaches
And now
and
you can be
convertibles.
cool.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
let's represent it.
It's lesser, exactly. So yeah, I should come to San Diego and we'll go to a winery and we'll do it there.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Right, we did get invitations to some wineries to do this. So anyway, so we hope you guys enjoyed this. We hope you will want more of these. We do want guests. We're going to have some guests, other West Coast Swing pros on here. For the record, I'm putting it out there right now that I would like Benji Schwimmer to come on
I
and talk to
love
us
that.
about the
Yes.
name change, because I think his argument is really well placed. We're going to have other people come on that aren't part of our dance world as well, to talk to us about other dance professionals, to talk to us about what they see. Maybe is even some positives about what we do, and maybe some negatives about what we do, right? Which would be kind of interesting. So stay tuned. We're going to try to do, I don't know, more than 6 a year, let's say that.
Yeah.
We'll do more than 6 episodes a year.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll have a lot of episodes in a month, and sometimes we'll just have a few, depending on when we see each other. So you find this on my YouTube channel. So go to Robert Royston on YouTube, to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe. And then in there's a playlist. There's playlists. Right now on the playlist, there's 2 of our dances. Two. Right, two of our Jack and Jills, and there's the last episode. So please go check that out. Again, it's at my YouTube channel, but you can go to BrandonTobias.com, which is soon going to become Brandon Guild. I don't want to have to say this again at episode 3.
Please don't say it again.
Okay, so, or robertroyston.net. We totally want to have your questions. Like if you have something you want us to talk about, we want to hear it, and we will try to cover it in future episodes.
Yes.
So our goal in this is to get the message out, to talk about our dance, to promote our dance, to let maybe some of the other professionals who I know watch this, some of our friends, hear what you have to say as well, and see if we can continue to grow and promote. Yes?
Thank you guys so much.
We do. You know what somebody said? We need a theme song. So it'd be like, could you imagine it'd be like one of those like tacky,
Like,
thing,
oh,
like
yeah, like
da 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 da. Welcome, Robert and Brandy to WineCoastSwing, where they're talking about dance. Da 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 da. What kind of dance? Sexy swing. Right, exactly.
But yeah, you can't use your MC closing line here. We're gonna have to come up with a unique one.
Oh, okay.
Like now's good.
Now's good.
Think about it.
Drop the mic.
song.
Well, think about it. By the way, we'll put it out there. If anybody wants to write us a theme song,
Yeah, if anybody wants to compose a theme song, that'd be pretty awesome.
that'd be awesome.
The Joel's theme
Make
song.
sure it has.
Yeah, as long as it's not dun, and it can't be overly sexy. Bound, chicka, wow,
And it can't be a samba.
It definitely can't be a song.